On the night of December 16, 1916, a group of Russian noblemen invited a man to dinner with the sole intention of killing him. They poisoned his food, they poisoned his wine, they shot him, they beat him, and then they threw his body into a freezing river. By any measure, he should have been dead within the first 10 minutes. But Grigori Rasputin, the filthy, barely literate peasant who had somehow made himself the most powerful man in the Russian Empire, refused to die. And the story of how he got there is even stranger than the story of how he finally left. Rasputin was born in 1869 in a tiny Siberian village called Pokrovskoye. He grew up poor, largely uneducated, and by most accounts deeply strange. As a young man, he developed an intense religious obsession, spending months wandering across Russia as a self-proclaimed holy man. He claimed to receive visions from God. He claimed he could heal the sick. He was unwashed, wild-eyed, and radiated a kind of raw, unsettling energy that people found either deeply repellent or utterly magnetic. There was no middle ground with Rasputin. Word of his supposed healing powers spread through aristocratic circles in St. Petersburg, and in 1905 he was introduced to Tsar Nicholas II and Empress Alexandra. What happened next would change Russian history forever. The Tsar and Empress had a son, Alexei, who suffered from severe hemophilia. At the time, there was no effective treatment. Any small cut or bruise could trigger uncontrolled internal bleeding that left the boy writhing in agony for days. Doctors were helpless. Then Rasputin was brought to the palace. What exactly he did remains disputed to this day. Some historians believe he used hypnosis. Others suggest he simply kept the boy calm, which reduced his blood pressure and slowed the bleeding. Whatever the mechanism, it worked. After Rasputin's visits, Alexei recovered. To Empress Alexandra, this was not medicine. This was a miracle from God. From that moment, she was completely devoted to him. Rasputin gained unrestricted access to the royal family. He began attending private dinners, advising on military strategy, recommending government appointments. A dirty, semi-literate peasant from Siberia was now whispering into the ear of the most powerful royal family in Europe. The Russian aristocracy was furious. Here was a peasant, unwashed, vulgar, openly sleeping with women at court, who had somehow become untouchable because the empress believed he was sent by God. As Russia descended into crisis during World War I, with millions dying and revolution brewing in the streets, Rasputin's influence over palace decisions was seen as a national catastrophe. A group of noblemen, led by Prince Felix Yusupov, one of the wealthiest men in Russia, decided that Rasputin had to be eliminated. They invited him to Yusupov's palace on the night of December 16, 1916, under the pretense of a social gathering. They had spent days preparing. The food and wine had been laced with enough cyanide to kill several men. Rasputin ate the poisoned cakes. He drank the poisoned wine. He asked for more wine and drank that too. After 2 hours, he was still sitting upright, talking, showing no signs of distress whatsoever. The conspirators were baffled and terrified. Yusupov went upstairs, collected a revolver, came back down, and shot Rasputin directly in the chest. Rasputin collapsed. The men stood over the body, convinced it was finally over. Then Rasputin opened his eyes, grabbed Yusupov by the throat, and staggered to his feet. He made it through the courtyard and out into the snowy street before being shot 3 more times. The conspirators wrapped his body, drove to the Neva River, and threw him through a hole in the ice. When his body was recovered 3 days later, the official autopsy found water in his lungs. Grigori Rasputin, after being poisoned, shot 4 times and beaten, had drowned. He was still alive when he hit the water. Rasputin's death came too late to save the empire he had helped to destabilize. Within months of his murder, the Russian Revolution had begun. Tsar Nicholas II abdicated. The entire royal family, including young Alexei, the boy Rasputin had spent years trying to protect, was executed in a basement in 1918. Russia was never the same again. Whether Rasputin was a genuine mystic, a brilliant manipulator, or simply a desperate man who found himself in an impossible position, historians still argue. What nobody argues is the facts. A Siberian peasant with no education and no title walked into the most powerful court in Europe and made himself indispensable. He survived poison, bullets, and a freezing river, and the dynasty that harbored him collapsed almost the moment he was gone. History has never produced anyone quite like Grigori Rasputin, and it probably never will again. If stories like this one fascinate you, subscribe. New history every day.